From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your evening update.
Kent's Meats and Grocery is much more than a grocery store. We carry a full line of quality meats, local and organic vegetables, and a large variety of fish, Green Mountain Smart Control pellet grills, and a full deli case of sandwiches and side dishes.
Well, some of us got to see some rain, some of us not so much. There was even some snow off in the higher elevations. Looked at Caltrans camera earlier this morning. There was a light dusting of snow out there on Cedar Pass, over 6,000 feet. But overall, just not a lot of snow for a lot of those lower elevations. Now, there still is a chance tonight, as we see some of the colder air really filter on in, but most of the rain, most of that snow is beginning to kind of wrap itself up here. But again, still some chances, especially in Modoc County, eastern mountains here through the overnight hours. But look at the rainfall totals. Most of it, and you know, the rainfall estimates did a pretty good job. You know, whenever we show you the rainfall estimates, you can never take the numbers that show up to be exact, but you can get the overall trend. And what we saw with those estimates was that most of it was in the north and west, which we see right here, 3,600 out in Crescent City. Then we saw another little swath of moisture down into Plumas County, where you can see out in Quincy, about 1,300 of an inch of rainfall. Everything in between was mostly less than what we saw, especially to the north and west. In fact, not much in the way of rain for the valley. There was a little bit in Chico, and even Orville got to squeeze out some decent amounts of rainfall there. But otherwise, the rest of us on the north and west side of the valley just didn't get to see much in the way of rain. And really, you know what? That's pretty much it here for the night. There could be a stray shower here and there. You can see things are wrapping up out along the coast here. This is what it looks like in Elk Country north of Trinidad. You can see just some of the clouds lingering around, kind of that unstable, cool and unsettled atmosphere. You can see here as we look out towards Crescent City, a bird kind of caught in the frame there. But there you can see, of course, the clear skies off in the distance there. And looking at the valley, you know, you may recall at the noon hour, I was showing you a lot of those dark clouds in the eastern mountains where the bulk of the rain and snow was. That has since then kind of shifted to the south, and it's not quite as intense as it was. So taking a look at what's going on here. Now, as we move forward, we're going to be talking about some significantly colder temperatures. Not only daytime highs, I've been talking about that, but overnight lows are getting quite chilly. In fact, so cold that there are several advisories that we'll be telling you about here in a second. And also, the rain that we're seeing today, that's going to be it for a while, because it's not going to be until the end of next week that we'll see our next chance for showers. So here it is. This is kind of the flow of moisture that brought us the rain, and not to mention the higher elevation snow. But you can see behind it is an area of low pressure right here and some colder air pulling down. This right here is a pocket of cold air. You see the speckled clouds? That's all filtering into Northern California as we speak. You may feel it if you step outside. You can feel that brisk air, right? So we got a lot of frost and freeze alerts. Just a wide array of colors. Doesn't really, quite honestly, matter what any of these mean, but you can see here this purple, for example. That's a freeze warning. There you can see here, this is where we've got a hard freeze watch. This is actually a hard freeze watch. This is a freeze warning, and this is a hard freeze warning. I apologize for getting some of those mixed up. But again, it doesn't really matter. Bottom line is this. Even the areas that don't have any shades of color, take the necessary precautions tonight and tomorrow night. And quite honestly, you're probably going to need to do that the next several nights, because this colder air is going to stick around for a while. So let's talk about our chances for rain and snow tonight. Here's tonight. It's mainly going to be in Modoc and the eastern mountains that we could still see a stray shower, maybe a stray snow flurry. Is it going to create problems for travel? Most likely not, but be aware that you could run into some slick spots here off to the east and northeast overnight tonight and tomorrow morning as that cold air kind of filters on in. Now, your Thursday, yeah, you got those clear skies, sunny skies, but despite the sunny skies, it's still going to be quite cool out there, especially in the higher elevations, but even the valley, not warming up a whole lot. Let's take a look at our long-range forecast this Friday, this weekend, dry. Most of next week looking dry. Your trick-or-treaters, they'll be dry, just cold, which we'll get into here in a second. And of course, there you can see next Friday, not this Friday, but next Friday, we're going to be looking at another chance for some rain. So it's not until the end of next week that we'll see our next shot of some rain around here. So there are your wave heights. There you can see dropping down to about 6 feet. Looks like better conditions if you do need to be out on a boat. Those winds from the northeast at 5 to 10 knots. You can see the high tide 11 o'clock tomorrow morning and your low tide just shortly before 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay, let's take a look at tonight, and it is getting cold. I mean, even look at the valley, 36 for Redding, 39 for Red Bluff, teens and 20s off into Modoc County and the eastern mountains. So again, even though you didn't see any colors with watches and warnings, it's cold. You need to take the necessary precautions if you need to protect any of that vegetation out there. Now, you'll notice you see these darker shades of blue. That's not quite as cold, but this is where we do have those advisories and warnings. Temperatures dropping down basically in the upper 20s to lower to mid 30s, especially in the higher elevations, but even some of those low inland valleys, you can see some of that colder air really funnel down and cool things off significantly. Now, it's going to translate to cooler daytime highs for tomorrow as well. Highs only reaching the mid 60s on average for the valley for your Thursday, and in the 40s and 50s for Modoc County and the eastern mountains, and mainly in the 60s for Trinity County, and not to mention as we take into the inland areas, mid 50s out along the coast. So looking at your 7-day outlook, those overnight lows, that's something I want to point out. Look at Mount Shasta, 20s all the way through Monday before warming up into the low 30s for Tuesday, Wednesday. That's the same trend. Look at El Tourist. You're down close to 10 degrees for Sunday morning. So we're seeing these very cold overnight lows for the next 7 days, and it's not warming up a whole lot as we take you through the afternoon. Taking a look at the valley, upper 30s, low 40s on average, although you can see here for tomorrow morning in Redding, could be looking at temperatures dropping down to the mid 30s, upper 30s to around 40 for Red Bluff and Chico. Now, of course, those temperatures not warming up a whole lot for the valley either through the rest of the week, mainly in the mid 60s. Here's your 7-day outlook for the coast, and obviously not as cold there for those overnight lows, but look at inland. Look at Trinity County in the 20s and 30s for those overnight lows. Daytime highs not warming up a whole lot, although we will see a slight increase for your Monday, Tuesday before we see another drop in those daytime highs by next Wednesday.